Unfortunately, I was away cruising the 7 seas, well maybe one of the seas, I'm not sure which one. I say unfortunately, but I had a lovely time visiting such places as Hamburg, Rotterdam and Bruges. Now it may have been freezing temperatures, but I really didn't mind. But unfortunately, though I was having plenty of fun, I did miss out on the group call where everybody rolled their dice, so I needed somebody to witness my dice rolls.
Do you need me to watch?
Yeah, that's the point. You're witnessing the dice.
If there's one I want to do on a Thursday evening, it's watch a fucking nerd roll a dice, so off you go.
But that's what he did, dear viewer. He watched a fucking nerd roll dice. First we got 12 for body, which is too many wires. 5 for head, which is whole. Arms, 8, knuckle dragger. Got them grippy hands, number 6. Coming in at number 4, we've got tank tracks for legs. And the flavour of the day is also 4, it's beaten.
So basically what you've described is Johnny 5 from Short Circuit.
Yeah.
Just make that.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, but
What a lovely fella. Alright, here we go. Big Bot Bash 2025. I've been invited because I'm the twin brother of the guy who runs the thing. And for no other reason than that. Usually, going into a project like this, I have some kind of idea. But for this, I had nothing. Absolutely nothing. All I had was this tray filled with interesting marble run pieces that I found in a charity shop for £3. Back in the day, it would have cost £1. Remember that? Anyway, got some interesting shapes here. And they're kind of screaming robot knight to me. That will change. Most likely that will change. But this thing here, got a couple of pairs, which is good. I'm seeing shoulder pads there. Or pauldrons to the nerds. Please excuse the rug. I have not hoovered since the start of this process. Or the one before that, in all honesty. This is a big old box of junk. I had loads of individual boxes of junk, but I piled them all into one because I was sick of pulling them all out. Now, I'm sick of having to dig into this one giant box. You can't win. You can't win. But I'm in here looking for a big bulky piece for the body. And having no luck. This thing, is the very first thing I ever scratch built. This is before I did YouTube. This is when I did it for fun. Oh, those were the days. That first box ain't doing it for me, so I'm going to drag out the second one. These boxes are huge, by the way. They're like 40 litres or something. I eventually settled on this round ball. This is a ball that you're supposed to put your own family photos in and shit and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to use this. It's a round ball. I don't usually like to go for round things because it's hard to attach anything to them, but I can't think of anything else, to be honest, at this point. So we're going to go with it because time is a changing. No, times they are a changing. Now, balls by their very nature are fragile. Have you ever tried getting kicked in them? Or if the temperature's slightly off, babies ain't made. So what I'm going to do is fill this one up with lots of tin foil and hot glue just to strengthen the thing, because I know that this is going to go through the ringer by the end of this. This is the first piece, and this is a month-long process. I know that now because it's at the end of the process, and it took a month. Just look at that, a little longer than we need to. Right, this thing here I bought from The Works, which is a British shop. It's pretty good, actually. It costs just 200 pence, and these baskets are going to be great for later on projects, and not for this one, but I wanted the balls. It's a pop and catch game, as it says. And whatever I don't use, I'll just give to my daughter. 'Tis a game for kids, after all. What's the thing everybody says these days? Trigger warning. I am about to rip this little chick's head off. You can look back now. His little head's come off. Second trigger warning. If you don't like to see people's faces erased by an abrasive surface, then look away now. His face has been abrased. Is that the right word? Is that a word? Doesn't feel like the right word. Those little chick faces I've used as shoulders. I've got some indescript bottle lids as well underneath just to join them to the thing. Now the thing with this build is I want everything to be sturdy as hell. I learnt my lesson from the Trench Crusade build, so I'm running this thick steel wire through every joint and into the middle of the body, all held in with hot glue. That's the plan. I want this thing to be strong. Couple of pen lids there for the top of the arms, and I'm going to start adding the pauldrons now because I'm keen as mustard to do so. Now for some reason, and I don't like to admit when I'm wrong, I used googly eyes just to give them a bit of height above the shoulder balls. But it was a mistake, because trying to drill a hole through these things is a real pain in the arse, and if you manage to get a hole, the little eye thing inside will just move and block the hole that you've made. So I won't be doing that again. You're dead to me, googly eyes. You're dead to me. Good morning. I got a bit of a cold. I just figured I'd do more vloggy things on this channel. You don't see my face enough. You don't see my beautiful face nearly enough, so you're going to see it more. First thing I want to point out is I love scratch building. It's great fun. It's the end product is usually some of the most satisfying builds one can make, but it is so messy. There's so much stuff everywhere. Ask any scratch builder, how's the mess when you're scratch building something, and they'll say it's a nightmare. You might have noticed all the crap on the floor earlier. Well, that's there's no point cleaning that up. Not for the next month or so while I'm building this thing. I mean, look at this. This is just some of it. This is actually quite clear. I've actually got rid of the tools. And to be honest, it would be a lot better if I could get the rest of the stuff out, but I haven't got room. Anyway, hope you enjoy the video so far. Back to the video. I've just woken up, by the way. That's why I look like this. In a previous video I used these little tiles. They're for a game called Upwards, which is Scrabble that you build up. Don't know why they need to mess around with the great original formula. But anyway, I'm using these pieces to go on the edges of the ball, just so that when I take the front of the ball off, it has something to hold it in place. It'll make sense when you see it. But for me to do this, I need to sand these pieces so they will fit snugly against the orb that is the ball. And to do that, I'm wrapping some sandpaper around a tube, spray can, and rubbing it one way, rubbing it the other way, seeing what happens. If I had £1 for every time I heard that. There they are, holding the front of that orb in place. Now the thing is with scratch building, as far as I'm concerned, is I don't want these things to stick out like a sore thumb. I want everything to look organic. And I know it's a robot, so it should look organic, but you know what I mean. Everything should have a function. Everything looks like it should move a certain way. That's at least what I aspire to do. While I've been blathering, I've added a back leg thing there. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with that yet, but it's time to deal with the front. Now the front is difficult because I can't complete the front because I need to do something at the end for the end shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand it, add a few bits, but it won't be complete, you understand? It won't be complete. There's the old shingless art shiv. I tried using this to cut out this hole, but it was useless, inevitably. So I took the very risky move and started hammering the crap out of the thing. Until there was enough room for me to get my pliers in and snap the bits off. This was quite tense, I'll be honest with you, because I don't think I have any more of these balls in the box. Now once the hole was made and was smoothed out, I added this ring piece in, which which fit perfectly actually, and it fits perfectly for my needs later on. If you're new to my channel, I like to play a little game called Name That Film. These are the films I'm watching while crafting. And if you know what it is, leave a comment below. I've got this wooden bead here, going to attach these as the elbow joints, I think. I've got a gift for you. Yeah, called it. There they are, being all elbow-like. Now, I rolled knuckle dragger for the arms, so I want to give it big old gorilla-like arms. I imagine it would probably use these arms to move more than anything else. And to make these large forearms, I'm using some more of the marble run. This marble run has been a godsend today, I'll be honest. Thank you, Jonathan Marble Run, for your wonderful creation. These things have a great shape. They almost look like they were designed for robotic forearms. About a minute ago I mentioned wooden beads. Well, I went and bought some more. I had tons. They were one of the first sort of crafty beads I ever got, but I ran out. So I bought some more from Amazon. Quite reasonable, actually, thinking about it. Anything I do use in this video that I remember to add a link for, there will be a link for in my description. You can buy it through that link at no extra cost to yourself, but I get a little bit of a kickback, which is a nice thing. And here I am adding a few more beads to the wrist. Now you might notice that I'll only concentrate on one hand here. There's a reason for that, and you'll see that later on. I'm only going to make one hand for now. And I'm kind of dreading making a hand at this point. Hands are hard. But you know what? They're also quite fun, as I discovered in today's episode. In last year's bot bash, I recommend you go back and watch them all. I used a lot of these. These are junk bot pieces. I keep them all in this box. And I need these two pieces here to be the palms. The palms of the hands, although I only need one. So, the palm of the hand. Now, I can't think of another way to make hands other than to use beads and wire. So that's what I did. But the goal, or the trick, is to make them not look like beads and wire, which is nigh on impossible. I'll be honest. I'm just hoping that when a bit of paint goes on this, it won't be so noticeable. I'm giving this thing 3 fingers and a thumb. I'm going to use washers to space out the round beads and the wooden beads that will be used for the length of the fingers, round beads for the knuckles. And on the underside of the fingers, I'm using the ends of these tweezers as some kind of grip. I would imagine a robotic hand would need some kind of grip. That was one of the roles. Hands was grip. Here's your grip. There you go, full circle. I'd forgotten all about that. Here's your grip on the fingers. These here are robotic toy parts. Like somebody sent me some of these and I had some myself. But they're for making little robot toy kits for kids. Like solar panel kits. That kind of crap. The kids never seem to finish because I always find them in the charity shop. Anyway, I only need a couple of pieces, one for the knuckle and a couple for the struts on the side of the arms. I'm going to use these little things, these little square rectangle shapes. They're kind of rubbery. They're from a game I found in the charity shop and I don't know what it is. It's like a jigsaw-y type thing. If anybody knows what these are, please let me know in the comments below. I added a little plastic cog from that set. That I just pulled out, and I don't like to make things just look stuck on, so I've added a bit of a paper clip to give the impression of a recess. Here's another marble run piece. Lordy, this marble run has really saved the day today, hasn't it? I sawed it in half but forgot to press record, so here I am pretending to saw the thing in case you wasn't quite sure of the sawing action. It's just a general to and fro. I'm attaching this piece to the hip for no other reason than for people to point at the robot and say, hey, it looks like the robot's got a giant dick. A year ago at Salute, I met a guy called Pez who works for Rubicon Models. And when I later got in touch with Pez, he sent me all of these tank model kits that I've been using ever since. Thanks, Pez. I will be going Salute again this year. Also, that reminds me, I had to take a moment out of this video to visit ChillCon. Here we go. Roll VT. That's what they say. Ah, yes. Travelled all the way up to Sheffield to visit ChillCon. And I must say, I was mightily impressed. I loved the event. It was a very cosy yet large. Cosy and large event. Spud and the guys have done a great job. I definitely will be visiting next year. Though I did have one issue, and it wasn't anything to do with Spud and the guys. A lot of people thought I was Bill, and the fact that this was written on my press pass didn't help. I need to do something about this. I'm starting a campaign. For legs, I got tank tracks, and I was a bit sort of disappointed with this, but on the other hand, also quite grateful because I've got all these tank kits for Rubicon models, and they're already made for me. There you go, I've got tank tracks right there. If I was to make these from scratch, it would have taken a hell of a lot longer. They're a little bit small, but I think that'll add to the character in the end. I also found this yo-yo that was my daughter's. I broke this in half and used this on the hip to give it some kind of cog wheel thing on the hip. I don't know. It just looks like it belongs there. That's what scratch building is. If it looks like it belongs there, put it there. Now, I don't know why I've been holding off on adding the front of the face to the thing. I don't know why I was thinking logistically, do I need to wait because I need to add things to it? I don't know. It's quite confusing sometimes thinking of what to do and in what order, but I thought, fuck it, let's add the face mask thingy because I just wanted to see how it looked. And here it is. It's that green thing from the Marble Run. It looks a bit like a knight's... what's the flappy bit on a knight's helmet? That thing. I could probably Google it. Couldn't I? I could do that right now. Googled it. Apparently it's called a visor. That's quite disappointing. Sounds a little bit technical for a knight. You know, I expected it to be called like a grate or a face fence or something. In my tower of board game pieces, these are battleship pegs. And I've been itching to do this since I've added those pauldrons onto the thing. I want to make these like little sort of spikes, look almost like a sea mine on the shoulder there, using hot glue. Now for it to work, they need to be evenly spaced, intentionally spaced, not just random. If that's the one tip you take away from this. There, now doesn't that look intentional? Now this guy is starting to look a bit armoured, which is what I'm going for. So I'm going to add these, I found these little things. I think it's from like a shootout game thing, but they got ducks on. But I don't need the ducks. All I really need is a sheet of plastic that I'm going to cut into rectangles and then attach to the wrists and to the side of the tank, and they will act as some kind of armour plate that's slightly raised above the section. I imagine that they could be replaced if they're damaged, or they're like a buffer. But I thought it'd be an interesting detail. It's all about the detail.
I'm not Bill making stuff.
I am not Bill making stuff.
I am not Bill making stuff.
I am Bill making stuff.
No, you're not Bill making stuff.
No, but I'm Bill making stuff. What? Dan?
You don't get it. There's a hashtag under your chin says I'm not Bill making stuff. It's a campaign thing.
But I'm Bill making stuff,
Oh,
Dan.
well, say it again.
I am
Not
Bill making stuff.
Right, well, I'll just put in the word not there in the edit. Cheers. Powerful stuff.
I need me some plastic coated paper clips.
Yes, it's the patented plastic coated paper clip around. If it was the game, it's not a game show. It's the paperclip segment. I like to use these paper clips. The plastic coating makes them easily paintable and durable. And I'm using these to make some little steps, some little sort of bumper bar things, all sorts really. You can always do with some plastic coated paper clips. Thanks. Next, I'm just going to casually show off my wire collection. My dad's got a better wire collection than your dad. My dad would beat your dad up in a fight. These are my wires. These are my wires, and this is my wire collection. I'm going to use these wires in places you'll see me doing it. It's just the nice big thick ones there to connect the arms. And not only do they look good, but it adds an extra bit of rigidity and support for the build, assuming you glue them well enough. Here I am, pointing out each and every wire like an absolute doofus. Could you try and be cool just once in your life, Dan? Try and be cool. Once. I wasn't happy with this thing having just 2 arms. It looks much too boring. So I decided I'm going to make some smaller arms. A little bit like the arms that Kane from RoboCop 2 has. You know, the little clappy ones that are there trying to grab the nuke because he really wants that nuke. Ooh. Now, I'm not going to show you how I made it, but I'm going to lay out all the things here that I used to make it. And bear in mind, I made 2 of these. Arms are so often in pairs, I find. Don't you agree, Philip?
You know that I do, Terence.
Ah, Philip. Since your passing, I have been ever so lonesome.
As have I.
This might be my favourite thing I've ever built. I don't know why. Look at it. It's just a simple little robotic arm. But I love it. It's nice, isn't it? You might think, that's a bit egotistical, Dan, to love something you built. Hey, if we didn't like the things we build, we wouldn't build them, would we? I'm defending myself before you've even attacked me. I love this arm. I need to make another one. Ugh. Now, remember when I said to you earlier that I only made one hand? Well, I outright lied to you. I don't know where I'm from. Anyway, here's the other hand. I made another hand. Now, the whole thing with this is his hand has been ripped off, and he's holding his main hand that has been severed in his creepy little withered claw arm. It's not creepy, I'm sorry. This bot is going to tell a story. The hand's been ripped off by something. Lore to come. Meanwhile, this is a little piece from a Gundam kit, believe it or not. Sacrilegious, right? Well, it was a spare, so I'm going to use this. But first, I will introduce you to my own private hobby, and it is making Gundam kits. I bet you didn't know that, did you, about me? Because I kept it to myself up until now, but there they are. Looking all lovely in a row. That's the bit, looking like an engine-y thing. Don't really matter. Next, I made the arm all battered and beaten up, like a hand has been ripped off of the arm. Because if you remember back to the beginning of this, when I rolled for flavour, it was beaten. And that's the kind of thing I'm going for here. Its hand has been ripped off. It's looking quite downtrodden. I'm going to do some holes in its head as well. A few holes there. Really dented, really beaten. Beaten up, or beaten is what the word was. Did I mention it was beaten? Beaten. Also, that fits in with the too many wires thing on the body. It has wires on the body, but because there's holes in its head, that's too many wires. You shouldn't be seeing those wires. That's the logic there. So you can interpret it however you want. I mean, it doesn't look like much there, but believe me, I'm very happy with the way this turned out. Once it is painted. I mean, you've seen the thumbnail. Now, there's only a couple of steps I need to do before priming this thing, and one of them, which I used to love, but I now find incredibly tedious, is adding on rivets. I want this to have a slight Final Fantasy VII semi-realistic but semi-cartoony look to the thing. Kind of a lovable aspect. Like a Studio Ghibli film, I suppose. But it needs lots of rivets for that to happen. In the old days, you used to do a montage, not these days. Fuck that. As ever, using the hemispherical beads, not semi-spherical beads. I was corrected by Bill Making Stuff. Hemispherical beads to do the rivets. Got these from the Amazon. There will be a link in the info below. I'm also using this wax jewel applicator thing, and it works pretty darn well, I have to say. Much better than the old art shiv stabbing the bead process. Much more efficient. Adding larger beads to the armor plates here and doing them in a very uniform pattern, much like the shoulder pads. So they look intentional. Intentional! You didn't feel like cutting there, Dan? No? Here it is, all beaded up, looking like a pearly king and or queen. I can't prime this yet because there's one last stage. I need to weather the crap out of this using the art shiv, the drill, and a pyrography tool. Take it away! Boom! Prime, Joe. There you go. There it is. That spray paint is incredibly shiny, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to paint over it, and that's what I do first. Painting over it with a cheap brown acrylic paint, one that I don't care for very much because I have tons of it, and then do an overbrush with a gunmetal. Now, before I get onto the painting, I want to discuss something with you. As you know, I'm an open book. While doing the voiceover for this segment, I popped outside onto my roof to film the paper aeroplane bit that you would have seen at the very beginning of this video, and I accidentally locked myself out on the roof and unwittingly filmed myself. Colin! Hello. Can you do me a favour and ring the doorbell until Colin wakes up? can't laugh at this colour. In case you were wondering, I was out there in my pyjamas, barefooted for an hour and a half. Eventually I jumped onto my neighbour's shed and shimmied across the fence. Anyway, back to the build. I first started painting the thing this sort of dark blue colour, but I realised that Bill Making Stuff's bot was a bluish colour, so I changed it eventually to an army grey, more of a military grey-green, which I was quite happy with. Now, I said there was going to be some lore for this bot. Not going to be much lore, I mean this is Dan Does, but I do have a vague idea for what this robot is. This robot is some kind of defender, or it was at one point a defender, of a city that is surrounded by walls. Now, they don't necessarily look after this thing, they don't even pay attention to the thing, but it's sent out into the wastelands beyond the wall to kill anything that is remotely monstrous or horrific. Now, they've tried this many times with different bots, but they managed to get the recipe almost right with this one. See, the problem is with most bots is they will just run into battle without a second thought for their own well-being, while this bot has worries, it has feelings, just enough to worry about its own safety. It makes it a better fighter. It also helps the thing to survive. The thing is, when M8 is what I'm calling this guy, got injured, lost his hand, had a big old hole in the head, there was no one to fix him. And any other robot would just carry on with one less hand. But this guy is worried. He's worried for his hand, he's worried for his head, and there's no one to fix him. And he's been wandering for years now, searching for someone to fix him. And I imagine that if somebody did fix him, it would be eternally grateful. Now, the thing is with these robots is that the city that made them don't necessarily have the resources to fix them. So that's why they've made them slightly fearful to save injury or damage or cost. Now, I don't really have any more lore for you without giving away what I intend to do in the upcoming episodes, as I have an idea for a world. Yeah, sure, everybody and their brothers are making worlds, and yeah, you're damn right, they are. So I'm not going to say anything now, but this guy will fit into a world that I have planned. It's a whole original idea, alright? I think it's original. You'll be the judge of that as we explore it further in future episodes. Now, what I'm doing here is using a tiny bit of sponge to dab on highlights, metal, and then rust over the top. Because this thing needs to look beaten up. It's been wandering for years, remember. Now, doing this much weathering is a double-edged sword. It looks good, but it also dampens all the colour, but it's more realistic that way. So I was a bit of a quandary while doing this, thinking, do I want it bright or do I want it realistic? And I think I went down the realistic route, which I'm happy with. By the way, good luck guessing this next film.
Goddess and Dark Lord, I call upon the ancestors that watch over me, protect me, enfold me, guide, and shape my destiny.
What a load of crap that was. Painting all the wires now, a dark grey. Just an off black, I like to call it. And you know what? Now's as good a time as any to welcome the brand new patrons. We have Connor Ferrell, Jodie White, Lisa Eyre, Annoying Bob, Erica Edwards, Cody Kai Mazel, Paint and Suffering, Peter Gamby, and Mouton Crouton. Thank you very, very much to you and to all of my other patrons. It's because of you that I keep this going. Everybody says that, but it's true. And if you'd like to help support this channel for the cost of a coffee, then why not visit this link below? Do it through a desktop, not through Apple, because they're money-grubbing bastards. Look at me, I've gone and waffled over the satisfying masking tape removal. Look how neat that line is. I'm very happy with that. Now, I needed a little bit of colour on this thing, so I did some orange. First, I did a sort of an off-white, just as a base coat. And look at that, lovely and punchy. But I'm going to rough it up so it blends in with the rest. And then I'm going to use these transfers, which are from the tank kits from Rubicon Models. And apply these. Easy peasy. These things used to fill me with dread when I was a kid. I thought, I don't want to waste these, I'm going to ruin them. But I'm sure they're easier now than they used to be. Sort of dip them in the water with some tweezers and gently nurse them off with a brush. Maybe just kids have useless little chimp hands. I know that I did. You can still move it around even when it's on the model, and what I like to do is go over the top of it with a matte gloss. I think it's supposed to go under it with some matte gloss, but I went over the top and it turned out fine. So do what you like, really. And with that, that's pretty much everything painted. I was going to do like an accent there, and I thought, no, I'd already done like an accent earlier on, so I won't do another one. Anyway, that's it, pretty much painted. Hasn't got any washes on it yet. So I'm going to start with an oil wash. About 1 part oil paint to 5 parts white spirit. It changes all the time. I'm using a bit of a brown with the black. I wanted a very dark brown wash. I don't know why, I thought I'd give it a go. I thought I might marry all the colours a little bit. Would you look at the state of that? Philip, look at the state of that.
Why would you look at the state of that?
Yes, dead Philip. What do you think of dead Philip? Is he going to be a staple? Probably not. Anyway, this thing looks a mess, but it can all be cleaned off. If it's ever too much, it can be cleaned off with a bit more white spirit. But I want this thing to be grubby. He's been wandering the wastes for years, with his hand in his hand. I imagine it's rained at some point in those years, so I've got some dripping rust here. Lots of drips, lots of dripping rust. He should have been galvanised. Is that what you do to things to make them not rust? Cheap bastards. Now this takes us up to the second to last thing. I rolled hole for head, and that's what he's got. He's got a hole. But I fashioned this entire hole, the ring piece. Remember I was talking about the ring piece? I like the ring piece. And the mask thing around this light bulb that I bought from the pound shop. And it fits in there just perfect. Perfectly. And it's the whole reason I left the face loose, able to come off, so I can get in there and turn the light on and off. I was thinking ahead, see? I have made a base for this, but you can see that in the showcase, which is coming up momentarily. I'd just like to say a big thanks to Bill for arranging this Big Bot collaboration for the second time in a row, and a big thank you to everyone else who took part in the Big Bot Bash. Remember to check out the playlist to see the rest of the videos. There'll be a little snippet of some of the builds at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Also like and subscribe.